Welcome Viking! There is a new patch that has been released for Valheim, and I'm going to go through the patch notes and discuss a little bit around it, as well as, well, I'm going to show a little bit of what was changed, and so we see what happens in the world. But let's get started here from the beginning. The patch note is 0.150.3. And they did mention it's been a long one because it's been about a month or something since the previous one. And the reason is that they've been making a lot of changes to specifically the terrain modification system. Now, what does this really mean? It means that if you are altering the terrain, you're terraforming, such as you're using the hoe to raise the ground maybe, you're flattening it, maybe using a pickaxe to just chip away at the area, making holes, making pits and everything like that, then there are changes to the terrain, to the original map that is there, which obviously means that it can't just use the generated map, it has to use changed data. And that can be a problem because, as some people have been highlighting, that if you do a lot of building and you do a lot of terrain modification, it can take a long time for it to really load in. I noticed that sometimes when I go through portals, I come back to my base, and what happened was that the terrain would spawn, then the buildings would spawn, and then it would take a while, and then the terrain would be updated with my modifications, which means I would have buildings that were stuck inside the terrain, inside hills and everything, because of how that was done. Now, they've done a lot of changes there to make it faster, to make it smoother, which is actually, as they mentioned, it's a big change for them, it's a big change for the game, but you shouldn't really notice anything except a better, smoother game. So that's really what this is about. So they mentioned here that it's a big change, but you shouldn't notice much except that it's the behavior changed, the whole pickaxe, blah, blah, blah. But they are saying that there are two situations here. All terrain modifications after the patch, which is using hoe, pickaxe, or cultivator, will now use the terrain modification, the new terrain modification system. Existing areas where you've done this, they will remain as they are until you decide to use a new command that is optterrain, that converts the old terrain to the new terrain. Now, this could cause some issues because we have a mixture of the old system and the new system, and hopefully that's something that doesn't cause too many bugs. I have heard people having their bases or their terraformed areas actually being reverted to the original map, which obviously causes a lot of problems. But I'm going to go through this. I am going to run this terrain on my base as well. And this is my base, and as you look around, you'll see that I've raised a lot of the ground. I've chipped away some and everything, and so my building is technically within part of the hill. So we're going to try that out and see what happens. I haven't done that yet, but I thought it would be nice to try. But let's go through some of the other changes and fixes that they have actually put in place. And one of them is that the swamp draugr spawn location has been fixed to prevent the draugr from spawning inside stone. Good, I mean, that shouldn't happen. Lock's pet sound fix. Okay, I guess maybe when you have them as pet, the sound have been changed. Torches and locations should no longer support constructions. I didn't really realize that, but I guess they were really strong torches. Dolmen location stone size fix. Again, just a tweak. The new terrain modification system, I think this is really the big thing. The terrain modification priority has changed. So now, terrain modification should load before buildings. Of course, it only applies to the new terrain modification system. This is what I mentioned, that I would have the area load, buildings, and then the modification. So that's going to be a little bit smoother. Now they have the world loading tweaks and fixing issues with ships and building getting damaged while loading. I think this is because of how they were doing things. They would actually load the buildings and everything in, and then they would do the changes. And of course, if things were stuck inside the terrain during this period of time, you could have damage. I actually had that happen, where I had a ship that actually got crushed because I loaded in, and suddenly it was just cracking, and then it's like it was on the bottom of the sea, where I lost some of my resources, but that's a different issue. Stop serverless download when leaving the start menu. Good, it shouldn't be downloading when you've left that. Pointless because you're not looking at it. And lower the amount of stone requires to raise ground using the hoe from 4, I believe, down to 2. So we're going to go into that console here. Let's do dev commands. Oh yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Let's see if they have properly put this one here. Optterrain. Oh, they haven't actually... They haven't actually put that in here. That's really interesting. They should have done that. They haven't updated the help file, but fine. Optterrain. Let's see. Optimized changes. Main changes. Okay, that was a really quick optimization. And everything seems to be as it should be, actually, which is good. People have been reporting actually terrain being reverted, and that did not seem to be the case here. Everything is as it should be. Nice. I'm glad to see that. Obviously, running those commands when they're changing the world can obviously make changes. Let's have a look at if we use the hoe. Where do I have a hoe? I'm fairly... Oh, on me, of course. Let's drop off... No, let's not split it. Let's drop it off like this. No. I want to have this one. Let's drop off this was, and is that poo? Oh, flesh. Even more flesh. Okay, that's not poo. Pew. I thought it was poo. Let's do that. Let's see if I have some stone. If I was some stone, I would be there. Let's take all of it. Like that. So there were some changes to how this was being done. Let me go over here because it's going to ruin some of the things I've done here. So let's access here. And if I'm going to use raised ground, as it says 2 at the bottom, which means it takes 2. Another thing that actually unfortunately fixed is I remember previously when you raised and you're actually targeting the side, you would actually increase it and you get... Oh, let's see, I can see that properly from this side. It would actually push it out, so you'd actually gain the whole level, which could be quite a lot of area. But as you see now, when I do this... Oh, I've lost... Missing requirement? Oh, I don't have a workbench. Okay. I will explain it. It basically is not pushing it outwards. It's basically just pushing it upwards. So you can no longer use that trick to gain a lot of extra area. However, of course, because you're using less stone, at least you can... Oh, I didn't realize there was something down there. Then at least you can raise it up a little bit cheaper. So that's nice. I like that they've reduced the use. I think that bug, I guess you could call it a feature, which actually allowed you to sort of race here and it would actually race a whole new area, was really convenient way of racing big areas. Now it doesn't do it. Maybe this is a better way though with the new terrain modification to do it properly so it won't cause any issues. So these are nice changes. I like that. I think that the terrain modification system update was definitely needed because it was causing problems and load, and obviously having a lot of things being built. A lot of people love to build. They'll build. I mean, I haven't really built that much, as you can tell. It's not a lot of things that I've been building, but some people have built literally castles, villages, towns, and things that are really, really awesome. And the more you build, the more problems you have with inefficiencies because it takes a long time to load in, and you're having all this terrain modification. So it's really nice. Thank you very much, Iron Gate, for making these changes and keep working on the game. I'm really excited for the next update, the Hearth and Home, and I can't wait to see what cool things they're going to be putting in. So with these changes, do you think this was a good patch? I really think so myself, but let me know in the comment section below what your experiences are. Did you run this command? And again, this terrain I believe might only work on single player. I'm not sure whether it'll work on multiplayer. I haven't tested it yet, but if you use this one, I would urge you to take a backup first, just in case there are some issues with it. Take a backup of the file, and if you don't know how to do that, check out the playlist which is available in the description below, because I have a couple of videos that shows you how to take backups. But enjoy your terraforming. Hopefully it's smoother. See you next time, Viking.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.